This video is an illustrated journey through the folly, fantasy, and genetic reality of British Israelism, a movement known as the Great British Identity Crisis. Be warned, the theory contains 19th century pseudoscience, tortured etymologies, and zero DNA evidence. In the 19th century, Britain ruled the waves, but they needed theology to justify their imperialism. Proponents argued the British were the literal biological descendants of the lost 10 tribes of Israel, thus confirming their divine right to empire. Let's meet some of the experts. Richard Brothers claimed to be the Prince of the Hebrews. Phrenologist John Wilson used scriptural phrenology to prove Northern Europeans had Israelite skull shapes. Edward Hine was the marketer who sold 250,000 copies of his book. The Isaac Sons folly is a prime example of linguistic gymnastics. Proponents claimed, quote, Saxon corrupted from Isaac's sons by dropping the I. The reality is that Saxon derives from the Old Germanic saz, meaning knife or dagger. Another claim is that British comes from the Hebrew words berit, covenant, and ish, man, meaning man of the covenant. In reality, British comes from the P-Celtic Britanni, meaning the painted people. The Scythian scramble theorizes that the Israelites escaped Assyria, became the Scythians, and eventually moved to England. Historically, Scythians were an Indo-Iranian nomadic culture. Also, the names of the Danube and Dniester rivers come from Danu, meaning flowing water, not the tribe of Dan. The Jeremiah's Irish vacation myth claims the prophet Jeremiah fled Jerusalem with King Zedekiah's daughter, Tephi, and the Stone of Scone to Ireland. This was supposedly to preserve the Davidic bloodline. The geology of the Stone of Scone and Bethel contradicts this claim. For 150 years, British Israelism relied on wild guesswork. Now, we enter the sledgehammer of science, the human genome. Spoiler alert, it does not end well for the theory when theology meets biology. The People of the British Isles, POBI study, analyzed thousands of people with deep rural British roots. The findings show British DNA is a mix of Mesolithic hunter-gatherers, Neolithic farmers, and Anglo-Saxon/Viking migrants. There is zero evidence of a Middle Eastern genetic cluster. Y chromosomes provide further evidence. Jewish DNA is dominated by haplogroups J1 and J2, indicative of Middle Eastern origin. British DNA is largely haplogroup R1b, of Western European origin. If the British were the lost tribes, they would carry Middle Eastern DNA markers, but they do not. The myth of the lost tribes is historically flawed. Assyrian records show that only a fraction of Israelites were deported. The rest, known as the remnant, stayed and assimilated, becoming the Samaritans. They did not sail to Dover. Theology versus geography reveals the separation fallacy. British Israelism relies on a strict separation between Judah, Jews, and Israel, 10 tribes. Biblical rebuttals, like Romans chapter 11 verse 1, show New Testament writers recognized Jews and Israelites as one people. When silliness becomes dangerous, the theory shifts. In the 20th century, British Israelism mutated into the quote, Christian identity movement in the US. The dogma claims, quote, white Caucasians are the only true Israelites, and it is used to justify white supremacy and anti-Semitism. The final scorecard shows the theory fails in every category: linguistics, genetics, history, and theology. The evidence overwhelmingly contradicts the British Israelism narrative. Identity is reality, not myth. British history is rich on its own, with Celts, Romans, Saxons, Vikings, and Normans. We don't need to appropriate the history of the ancient Near East. The covenant man was a Victorian invention. The truth is scientifically sounder than fiction.